Welcome back, boys and girls. Let's show you what I got going on here today. Behind me, my truck, 2015 Toyota Tundra, 4.6 liter V8. But I pulled this thing in, put it on jack stands, crawled underneath it, and I found my water pump's leaking. And I'll take you under and show you where it's leaking at, and I'll show you why it's leaking. So give me a second to slide my fat ass underneath this truck and we'll get started. Right there. See? Yeah. See that? Not that pink shit. That fell off. But see that pink shit up higher? That is dried coolant. Right there. Right where the brightest part of the light's shining. That's dried coolant leaking out of the weep hole on my water pump. That laying there is what I knocked off. That is actually supposed to leak out of there. Well, I'll show you on the new pump. Let's go over and look. Alright, so we're laying under the truck. Where we were looking at the crust was coming right out of here. Alright, what this is a water jacket that leads from between this seal and this seal. So when this seal in here goes bad, it allows the coolant to come out of here as like a pre-warning saying that something bad's going to happen. So what's going to happen when the water's in here, whatever kind of bearing, I don't know what it is, it can ruin that bearing, and then this pump will lock up and cause all kinds of problems for you on the roadside. So the seal I'm talking about is right in between them two propeller blades. You can see it right there. When coolant starts getting past that, it goes through that channel and leaks out of here. And if you see, if I put the gasket on here, switch camera hands here, they do not seal that off. They want that to leak for that reason, not just because it can leak. But that's that. So next step is going underneath, or we're gonna go under and drain the radiator and start tearing it apart. So I'll see you boys and girls there. All right, I got to do a voiceover on this part because the audio screwed up when it rendered over to after being editing. So I'm just taking some hoses off here, nothing major. Now I'm taking the fan, I'm unbolting the fan, and I'm using my screwdriver, jamming it between the nuts and the shaft of the fan, and I'm just going to break them all loose and then spin the fan over, take them out one at a time. Excuse me. Now you see me trying to wiggle. That fan has a recess in the back of it. The fan hub does. And I'm just very gently prying it off of that recess. There's an embossment sits over top it to pilot everything. You don't want to pry too hard and get it cockeyed and screw up the threads on the studs. After the fan's off, you pull the two 10mm bolts out of the top of the shroud. And then the shroud sets in hooks down below, and you can just lift the fan and the shroud out all at once and get yourself a bunch of room. Now I'm going to take the pulley off of the water pump. That's I think for the fan and the pulley both, the nuts and the bolts were 12mm wrenches. It took them off. I'm going to use the same technique, taking a screwdriver, jamming it in there and using that as leverage to hold everything still while I break everything loose. And after this, I'm going to take the thermostat housing off. And, excuse me, this is like a half-ass fast forward through it because I give a much better description later on the bench of where all the bolts are, what they are, torque specs, and all that happy shit about it. But here just gives you a quick idea where everything is. And this isn't the bench part I'm talking about. This is sped up too fast to get the gist of everything. But what I'm about to show you is when I pick up one of these bolts, I'm going to show you it has sealant on it. And they do that because it goes into a water jacket, so you got to make sure to put that sealant back on. Alright, no more voiceover. Alright kids, it's a whole day later. I haven't touched this. So, I went and bought a camera stand. This is the absolute best I can get you. So what we're doing now is a little bit of surface prep. This is red Scotch-Brite with a little bit of soapy water on it. I don't want to remove material. This is an aluminum block. I just want to remove any schmutz that the old gasket left. Alright, this is not a wire brush, it's a nylon brush. I'm just gonna brush all the debris from around everything. And this is pretty much it. If you find something, give it another scratch with the Scotch-Brite. Unfortunately, I can't see half of this, so I'm kind of poking and hoping. And while I'm down here, I'm just giving all my pulleys a spin, make sure nothing makes noise. All seems good. Alright, there's 11 bolts that hold this on. So, these, how many of them are there? These 5 and these 3 are the ones that hold the water pump to the block. These 3 are the ones that hold the thermostat housing to the water pump housing to the block. Make sense? Good. Okay. I have them lettered A, B, and C. 35 foot-pounds for A are these two. Alright? They go here and here. 17 foot-pounds for B. That's this one only. It goes right here. The rest of them are 15 foot-pounds, all of them, for the rest of the ones that mount the water pump to the block, and for the ones that mount the thermostat housing to the water pump housing to the block. So what I'm going to do is, since there's 3 different torque values, 35, 17, and 15 foot-pounds, I'm going to take them all to 15 right out of the gate. And I couldn't find a like a torque sequence for them, so I'm going to do them like you would anything else. I'm going to work from the inside out. Alright, so it'll be like 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, you know, this one here, 15, 15. And then, unfortunately, you can't do anything with this because the water pump housing holds, the thermostat housing hides this bolt here. So you have to put the thermostat housing on last. And then I'll torque those to 15, but they'll be okay because this is on the outside. And the reason they want, I don't know, I'm probably explaining this for no reason. If you guys have enough confidence to do this, you'll know why torque sequences are done. So, we'll demonstrate with a drawing. You have a flat surface, okay? When you start torquing in the center, this flat surface starts going like this. and as you work your way out, it flattens back out. Now this is an extreme dramatization of it, but if you start, say you take your flat surface and you start torquing from the end. So as you're torquing, this goes this way. And because you're only going in one direction, the deflection gets worse and worse and worse. So that's why they always want you to start in the middle, because it's half the deflection as you would get from this way, from starting from one end. And they don't want you starting from the ends and working in, because when you start from the end, say you torque down this end and torque down this end, what you end up with is this. And by the time you get to the center bolts, you can't pull this down tight, theoretically. I've torqued things all kinds of different ways and never had a problem. The only thing I've ever had a problem with was a orbital pump for a hydraulic steering forklift. It's the only thing I ever had a problem with not going in their torque sequence. But that's besides the point. Always work from the middle out. That's how you do it. That's how everything is explained. Like if you look at a head torque, sometimes on big trucks, heads have 25 bolts in the heads. The way you're doing it is you're always working from the middle out, and you're not just going one way then the other. You go bang, 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 you know, something like that. Anyhow, let's get back to it. We've already cleaned the block. I cannot put you down in there like I had you when I was cleaning the block. To put this in, the torque wrench is going to hit the camera. It's just not good, so I'm going to have you up to the side. Excuse me. That is why I drew up this and showed you this, so that you have an idea. And I don't know anybody that works at a Toyota dealership, but I have a buddy that works at a Toyota forklift dealership who's a mechanic. He said Toyota uses some type of gray sealant on their studs. Said when they run out of it, they have Napa bring them this shit. This ultra gray advanced formula maximum torque gasket maker. So that's what I'm going to use. I'll put a link in the description of this. I'll put a link in the description for the pump, all that happy shit. A link in the description for the new thermostat, everything. So you guys will be good to go. And when I see you again, we'll be back over the truck, throwing her together. Alright guys, here we go. So my torque wrench is set up. I already have the sealant on all of the bolts. I'm ready to go. And I'm just going to get the two big bolts started to hold it in place. The gasket and everything, because it is difficult to do. Especially with this stinking hose in the way. I wish I'd get rid of that bastard. And always, always, always start your bolts, especially in an aluminum block, by hand. Don't horse them in. Do not horse them in. And I'll be fading it out because I have my bolts on another workbench behind me, so they don't knock them off. I'm just bringing them over two at a time, being super careful to not get dirt in my schmutz. So if I drop one, what I'm going to do is shut the camera off and lie about it. Now I'll take it over and clean all the shit off of it and re-schmutz it. Now just remember, you're going steel bolts into an aluminum block. So if you cross-thread one, chances of you knowing it's cross-threaded before it's too late, slim to none. Damage is already done, you're screwed. You gotta pull it apart, get yourself a thread repair kit, and when I say thread repair, I don't mean helicoils. They make thread repair kits that spike into place instead of helicoils. They are much better especially for aluminum. That's what I use. One, two, three, right? I gotta go double check my thermostat housing, make sure I get these in the right spot. Yokie dokie. First things first, I'm gonna run these in snug with my 3/8 ratchet. When I say snug, I just mean basically finger tight. Changing sockets for the rest of them, except the thermostat bolts because you can't do them yet. Okay, time to torque. 15 foot-pounds. I'm going to do the two top ones first, the big ones. Crank them down to 15. Now I'm going to do the slower one, kind of working, like I said, from the middle to the outsides. Oh, no, okay. Let's go. These big sons of bitches again. See, they're moving. That means everything's compressing. That's why you go back over. Okay. All right. I'm going to take the big ones of 35 now. Awesome. There's the other big one right there. I did a lot of bitching about this job, but in all honesty, it's pretty easy. Don't be intimidated by it. I just bitch because it's my truck and I don't like working on my vehicles. You know what I'm saying? Alright, 17 foot-pounds for that one, long one. Which was that one, was it? Yes. $17. Okay, I'm gonna just go back over all the 15s one more time. Yes, I'm being very anal about this. I don't want it to leak. If you don't like watching me be anal, switch over to Scanner Danner or South Main Auto or Mr. Greasy Bob. I think Mr. Greasy Bob's my favorite YouTuber. I really do. He doesn't do it anymore though. Don't know why. See, I got movement out of that one. Try it again. Alright. This is something. Look at that. Good. Good. Anything? No. Awesome. Alright. So, let's go. I'm going to go lube up the, oh boy, I hope my camera's still on. I'm going to go lube up the thermostat housing bolts, and I'll be back to put the thermostat housing on. Okay, let's move this torque wrench before I drop $600 on the ground. That would be rather unfortunate. I already broke that thing once. This hose is really causing me grief, guys. I hate it. See, now like when you're reaching around something and under stuff to get bolts started, and it's like you get a couple threads going and hey, you know, that's good enough. It's not on an aluminum block. Get 90%, get it 90% threaded in. Don't screw around and, you know, make a mistake. Just don't. If I had a bungee cord handy, that would be freaking sweet. Is that right? That looks right. I hope it is. Don't drop that bolt. Okay, it is right. Although my bolt isn't starting. There we go. So that's started. They're more than started. They're about a quarter of the way in. This one's about, the bottom one's about 3/4 of the way in. Oh, almost fell off my stool. That would have been tragic. What happened to Dustin? Fell off his stool in the garage when nobody was home, cracked his head open, bled to death, while his dog laid beside him. Right? Uh-oh. See, that bolt doesn't want to go real easy, so. I can't get my fingers on it, so I'm just going to take a socket and an extension in my hand, a longer extension with the socket in my hand. Excuse me. I'm not putting a rat shit on it. Oh, almost dropped it. Okay. It started. It is now up finger tight. I'm going to get the rest of them up finger tight. Okay. Everything's finger tight. Now we're going back to a small extension and the torque 'em up wrench. which has this awesome auto shut-off feature. All right, 15 foot-pounds. Get on the bolt. Where is it? We're done here, but I said sorry. Yes, I am just careful. I'm going to somebody else to do. Yeah, it's going to pay for you. No, no, we're not rush. You pay for it, that's it. All right, we're good. All torqued up. Now, let's get all these damn hoses back on. All right, guys. I saved you the misery of putting this all back together. There was really nothing special to see. The only notable thing was for the fan hub nuts, well studs, and the pulley for the water pump, I did put blue gel Loctite on them. It had it on them when I took it off, so I put it back on. I couldn't find a torque spec on either of those, so I just hammered them down. That's about that. So let's get to vacuum testing, vacuum filling, then pressure testing. We'll see you in a few minutes. All right, what I'm about ready to do is vacuum down this system to vacuum fill it. And that's the best way to fill a system because you don't get any air pockets in it. And 99% of the time it fills it up perfect. And there is, like if you have a leak, it's not gonna do it. But this is a good way to check for leaks too. That's the first thing we'll do. We'll vacuum it and leave it sit. I bring you in and I'll show you these hoses. See how it sucked those hoses flat? That's what you want. All right, we're gonna leave it set for about 10 minutes. I'll be back. All right, it's been 7 minutes and it only lost half a pound or something like that. So we're gonna bring her back down to full vacuum and start sucking on some coolant. And that half a pound I'm not worried about because it could be losing it here, 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 there, anywhere. So alright. Sticking the pickup line inside of the tank. So one of the things you gotta watch out for, you cannot let your coolant get below your pickup line. It's a real disaster. Alright, that's it. See how that hose is emptying out? There's no more vacuum. It's full. When I take this off, it should be filled right up to here, like it always is. Cross my fingers this piece of shit doesn't make a liar out of me. I shouldn't say piece of shit. From Snap-on, it's like 270 bucks. It's quite expensive, but it works. And there's 1,000 other ones that are cheaper. Why did I buy a Snap-on one? Because he comes right to the shop, and I have a Snap-on guy that comes right here to this garage. If I ever have a problem with it, I give it to him, he gives me a new one. There's no driving, running, nothing. It's for the convenience only. Bring you guys in to look and see how full this is. Give me a second. Perfectly filled up. Now, ooh, we're still zoomed in. Let's get rid of that. How do you do that? Oh, I got it. There we go. Perfectly filled up. Again, I clamped this off. I don't have any actual clamps here for hoses, so I just put a piece of cardboard around the hose and take some vice grips and clamp her off. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my pressure tester on this, and I'm going to pump it up to a little over 15 psi and crawl all over this thing looking for a leak. So I'll be back. Alright guys, it's been 10 minutes and this hasn't dropped a pound, so it's not leaking. I'm not even going to check any further. That's it. My next step will be to get it outside once I get the hub changed and let it come up to temperature for about 20 minutes, cool her down, recheck it for leaks. So we'll see you when that time comes.